Danite Radio.
Welcome to the Counter Revolution.
Yeah, it's a blast. We've started, by the way.
Wow, getting this party started, huh?
Oh, hey,
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
listen to this.
Oh, so unprofessional.
I hope it sounds
does
Why is
like
it going so fast?
cruising.
I don't know. Maybe I set it to 1.5 speed. So
Yeah. Well, you got your half seconds marked.
yeah, I'm zoomed in.
All right. Hey, folks. Rock Dog here.
And Jace.
I'm Shadow.
Is that so funny to you guys?
Yeah, we talked about that last night, actually.
I was like, yeah, I started calling Rocky Rock Dog at work. Now he just called himself that on the podcast.
Cody's actually been calling me Rock Dog for years. So
My bad. Another
don't
reason
take
to like
credit
Cody.
for that, bro. It stopped now. What the heck is going on with your computer, bro?
Bro, it's right here.
He's just stuck on the one
Bugging
section.
me.
Are you watching or this, or are you gonna talk into the podcast?
We have problems with the freaking computer sometimes, so I'd like to know that it's not going to have issues.
Now the audio's
sir.
completely off, bro. You
Uh,
broke it.
He's gone forever.
I don't know that that's not true, bro. I'm not the freaking nerd here. That's your job.
For whatever reason, it's not tracking the sound, but I'll let you know if it stops.
Right on. Sorry for the long time off, folks. Had a little vacation time, and then some downtime after that. It was a good break, but we're back and ready to do battle with communists.
Yeah, kick a communist today.
For sure.
Every day. Not just
Speaking
today.
of, go to Teespring and get a Kicky Communist shirt.
See that? Seamless plug, folks. That's why they pay us the big
And all
bucks.
you friends of the show out there, friends, air quotes, dude, Teespring costs us money. We're not going to buy you t-shirts. Get your own t-shirt. Noah.
Got him.
How's the elk hunt going, Shadow?
It's going. We
Nice.
haven't seen anything yet. We haven't seen.
Elk hunt's hard, bro. You haven't seen anything to miss with your bow yet?
Yeah.
Other than a few people, right?
Because
I haven't
Shadow's
seen it.
exactly like Robin Hood, except he cannot shoot his bow.
Yeah, that's true. I
Just
haven't seen
kidding. He's
anything
better than I
to
am.
scare off when I sneak
Yeah,
up on
there you go. There you go. When he clomps up to it.
Yeah, that's going to be the real problem. The loudest walker on earth, dude.
The best is like they're going to hear you untying your boots to sneak up on it. Because you got to take your shoes off, so you're real sneaky. Just kidding. Bad joke. All right.
Let's get into it, shall we?
All right.
What you got for us this week, big shooter?
What do I got?
Yeah.
So, I'm not exactly sure how to start this, but
Before you start, I have
Yo,
a little thing.
let's hear it, bro.
I was going to wear a mask today to the podcast
Oh, so that we'd bust your teeth
just
out.
to get you angry.
Oh.
Wasted opportunity.
Yeah, and I didn't have one in my car. Rough life.
I've actually taken a new strategy. Instead of telling the people I have COPD or
Emphysema.
bronchitis or something, I'm going to put on my V mask and say, your tyrannical overlords, thank you for being such a good lapdog, and then take my mask off as I walk past them. That's much better.
It's funnier. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways.
More entertaining for me. Tell us how that goes. Will you
I
follow
will.
up with us? Let us know how that
Yeah.
goes for you.
Just video one. We'll have a video segment one day.
So, I actually went to Panda Express in Provo. I don't know. Yeah, I can say it. I don't care. And we were going there for lunch, and there was the mask sign on the door, so I put one under my chin. And the lady behind the desk is like, or behind the counter, behind like 8 feet of plexiglass, you know, and whatever. In a restaurant, too, you know. Anyways, because you can't eat with a mask on, in case you didn't know. They're not letting you eat inside, but it's still irritating. She gets that tyrannical female look in her eyes and says,
That's going to be a super popular phrase on this podcast, bro.
Can I have you pull your mask all the way up? To which I said, no, I have bronchitis. My doctor said I can't. And she gets all pissed, you know. She'd obviously heard something similar before. She's all looking behind the wall at her manager, you know. And, like, she was upset, dude, that I would not put on my mask. And I was like, do you need a doctor's note or what, you know? She had no proof, you know. And let's say I had...
Which neither did you, but...
Let's say I had COPD, you know? Like I actually had something. You don't think I could get the ADA involved when you won't serve me my food because I have a disability? Because I can't wear a mask?
That's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Problem is you're white, so you'd have a hard time with that.
Yeah. But still.
No, you wouldn't, bro. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
So I'm like.
A bankrupt
She's like,
Express
you have to have a mask on in the store. And my wife, who's upset at this point. He's already in the store. He's already contaminated the place. Like, what? You know, it's too late now. Just give us our food. Right. You had to have a mask in the store. So I'm like, all right, we'll go somewhere else. So we go to the drive-thru in Spanish Fork, you know, the drive-thru Panda Express. But I was pondering such things, you know, and I wasn't about to be that guy on YouTube screaming at the poor college student and Panda Express about what a tyrannical hag she's being.
The poor college student who is just trying to find a place in the world.
I'm using tyrannical woman and tyrannical hag to avoid the B word. But in case you guys missed that.
That a boy.
But I was pondering such things. And I realized, in light of the stats I gave when Hogan was here, in light of the fact that we were promised 1 to 1.5 million deaths with all the things that we're doing, all the social distancing, all the masks, and without all those things, we were promised 1.5 to 3 million deaths. And we haven't hit anywhere close to 1.5 million deaths. I think 176 is the latest number I've seen.
176,000, right?
Yeah. In light of that, in light of the fact that the curve is flattening, that the more we test, the more we realize that less people are dying. And don't you people know I'm doing a podcast? And
Probably not.
And the people you're doing the podcast for also don't know what you're talking about.
So, the curve is flattening. We're realizing that this mask thing is not. They're trying to make this a permanent thing. Because when does it end? When do we get to stop wearing the masks? At what point do we stop wearing these masks? In light of all of that information, and in light of the look that woman gave me when I wouldn't put my mask on, I realized how similar, and I'm not saying they're the same thing, but how similar the yellow Star of David and the not wearing the mask is.
Interesting. Why?
Well, I couldn't eat at that restaurant because I wouldn't wear my mask.
So wearing a mask is the yellow star.
It's not that you couldn't eat at the restaurants. You couldn't leave with your food.
Yeah, exactly.
You were already in there.
Exactly. It marks the political dissidence of this country. All you have to do is comply to this one thing that is pointless. I mean, they talk about the cloth masks stop droplets, but from my understanding, cloth masks are worthless. If you're not wearing an N95, you're really not doing any good, from my understanding. I don't think that's Jace's understanding.
I disagree. Cloth masks do make a difference, but it's minimal.
Okay. A minimal difference. So but that plexiglass barrier is far more.
Yeah.
Right? So we as humans have urges, right? And I wonder how many people in Nazi Germany, because they say it was according to Jordan Peterson, it was a 90% compliance rate with the Nazi Party in Germany. Meaning, not only were people doing what they were told, but they were cooperating with the Nazis. And so as a people, we have this natural tendency to want to control the people we disagree with, right? And that's what that woman did. She had the power in the situation to control me, to bend me to her view, and she was trying to do so. Or she did do so, you know. We can't serve you if you have that yellow Star of David on your face, which is no mask. And to be fair, I have similar impulses as a human being. And I also had power to bend her to my will. I could have flown over that desk and ripped her mask off. You know? I could have. And I had that urge. I could have slapped that tyrannical female look right off her face, pulled her stupid, useless mask off her face, and punched the manager that she was, you know, that I'm sure was making the similar looks back to her when, which as a male and as a human is my natural. So she caved to her natural desire to control me, and I just smiled and walked out of the store and didn't try and control anything.
You are saintly.
At what point? It's fine, dude. It's fine. Thank you. Every woman that I do not punch in the face, I will consider myself saintly for. So these are the urges that Jordan Peterson was talking about. How many German citizens threw Jews out of their stores because they were wearing that yellow Star of David? And what was it for? To control people, to follow the herd. There was no reason for me to be wearing a mask in that store. I'm sorry. The curve is flattened. We need to be back to our lives as usual. We've destroyed the most wealthy, powerful, economic capital in the world because of this, which is New York City. New York City is destroyed. It will never be the same. People are moving out in droves. Businesses are shutting down. And for what? Nothing. Yes, a lot of people died in New York, but we don't know if it would have been the same if we hadn't done any of the things that we did, if we hadn't destroyed the economy of New York City. Because Sweden didn't do any of that stuff. And
it's interesting.
And they have similar numbers to ours. They have way better numbers than New York City. So perhaps if we had just quarantined the susceptible people,
the at-risk individuals,
who's to say that wouldn't have done just fine? And why can't we continue that today? That's what we do every flu season. Why can't we continue to do that today? Young people are not dying. Young, tyrannical females that work at Panda Express are not dying from this disease. So how about this, young tyrannical female? You take off your mask, we all go about business as usual, and you don't go see your grandma until this passes over. Boom. And in the meantime, let's all develop herd immunity.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, but...
What'd you look up there, Jace? Was I wrong?
No, I'm just trying to get a better number for Sweden versus New York. The raw numbers is 434. So for New York, 434,000 cases with 32,000 deaths. Sweden's 86,000 cases with just under 6,000 deaths.
So is that a similar percentage?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I'm not that good at math.
I think New York would have a higher percentage.
I'm just the impulse to control the people around you and succumbing to that impulse is what makes me the most nervous about this whole mask ordeal.
It's an interesting one because Jordan Peterson frequently talks about remembering history. And everybody always quotes, I can't even remember who said it, but he who forgets history is doomed to repeat it. And Jordan Peterson contends that it's not enough just to remember history, but you have to be able to put yourself in the shoes of the people in history. You have to be able to put yourself in the
tyrants
shoes
in history, of the bad guys,
and not just of like the regular German soldiers, and think, am I capable of doing that? But you have to put yourself in the shoes of Adolf Hitler and be like, am I capable of doing the things that he did? Because it's a vicious cycle in Nazi Germany. Adolf Hitler wasn't the only problem in Nazi Germany. The problem was their economy was shot to crap. They needed to pull out of this recession. There were a lot of unfair regulations posed upon them because of World War I, which I understand why they were imposed. They make sense. And nobody at the time knew how unfair they were really going to be. So he has this opportunity. He stands up in front of 1,000 people. And if somebody says, hey, I love the things that you're saying, you're going to say that thing more. Well, now imagine if 200 million people are standing up and cheering every time you say those things. And that's what was happening in Nazi Germany. Of course, Adolf Hitler was going to continue saying the crazy radical ideas that he was saying. It was met with cheers and applause from millions and millions of people. And so it's this vicious cycle, and how can you claim that you wouldn't do the same thing when you're trying to force somebody else to wear a mask that the evidence is shaky at best? And we've discussed it, and we discussed it with our cousin, and he's convinced we should wear a mask, and he remained that way after we finished discussing it, and we remained convinced that we shouldn't, because the evidence is not overwhelming either way that masks work or do not work.
Yeah, and it goes back to that 90% rate of compliance with Nazis. Does that indicate that German people are genetically worse than everyone else, or are they just people? They're just people. You would have been compliant to the Nazi Party if you'd lived back then. That's the overwhelming statistics. And maybe I'm open to the fact. I just told you my natural impulse in dealing with this woman that had to be repressed. Who knows? Maybe I was. Actually, I do know. I know I'm capable of the things that
Compliance with Nazi
for
Germany.
sure
Yeah.
that Nazi guards did. I'm 100% capable of that.
Yeah.
And if you don't think you were, think again. Think again. If you don't think you're capable, if you can call the cops on your neighbor because of their dog or their chickens, or you can call the cops on your neighbor because they're playing Crash Bandicoot at 2 a.m. and are a little loud. If you think that you can call the cops on that and you can't call the cops on them for having Jews in their attic or basement, you're wrong.
Well, especially
You're
when it
wrong.
would be encouraged.
Yeah,
at that
for
point.
sure. 100%.
You'd feel like you were doing the right thing.
100%. You guys know the story I'm referring to in Arizona? Did we talk about that?
Yeah.
Did we talk about it on the podcast?
I don't believe so. I don't remember
Did we
it.
not?
So
I thought we did, but go ahead. Tell it again.
the
Tell it briefly.
we did talk about it, but there's a guy, a man and his girlfriend were playing Crash Bandicoot at 2 a.m. making salsa.
As one does.
As one does when you're young and in love. And
Yeah.
they were screaming because Crash Bandicoot is a pretty intense game. And I never got into it. I didn't like it that much. I was more of a Mario Kart guy myself.
I think potentially they were screaming because they were competing against each other.
That would be my guess.
Men and women do not compete against each other well.
Yeah, because the men always win, right?
It's true. And
Maybe not a Crash Bandicoot.
Adam Carolla always says, like, if women were 30% stronger than men, men would spend a lot of time in the hospital. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, maybe.
But so they're playing up late. They're playing late. Guy at 2 a.m. has to work the next day. Calls the cops. He says to the dispatcher, "Look, I think that there's a domestic situation going on next door. There's lots of screaming." The dispatcher can ask him questions. He finally says, "Look, I'm not going to answer any more questions. Just get the cops here now." And hangs up the phone. The cops go. They have to go. It's a 911 call. And the man, there's a knock on the door at 2 a.m. The guy probably has issues with this neighbor. So he looks out the people. It didn't look to me like the cop was standing in front of the people. The cop said Phoenix PD, but it wasn't loud enough to hear through a door, if you ask me. The guy answers the door. He's got a gun in his back, in his waistband. The guy answers the door, and he comes charging out the door and pulls the gun out, and the cop shoots him. The cop's partner, I guess the cop with the body cam's partner, shoots him and kills him. And they say he rushed us with a gun, but it could have easily been, "Oh, I have this gun here, officer. You know, here's my gun. You know, now you're safe." It didn't look like he was on the attack by any means. But now that guy's dead because one nosy neighbor called the cops. You know, and that's the kind of person that complies with. You know, if you're that willing to call the cops, you just knock on the door, man. Knock on the door. And maybe you'd been struggling. Buy earplugs, bro. Buy earplugs. Move out of the freaking condo. Condo life's not for anybody. It sucks. I get it.
People
Put
are not
earplugs in,
intended to
bro.
live on top of
But
each other, stacked up.
At a certain
You know
point,
there's going to be noise if you move into one. That's an
What if you-
expectation.
what if you marry a 300-pound tyrannical woman and she snores all night? What, you going to call the cops on her too? Sometimes you got to put up with crap when you're trying to sleep, you know? I got neighbors that party. I never call the cops on them. Never. If it got out of hand, I'd freaking go over there and ask them to calm it down. But they get loud. They play the Hispanic music, you know?
Oh, those
Which
are
is
the
kind of
best
funny.
parties in the
Which is
world,
kind of
bro.
funny because,
You
like,
need to go over there, dude. They got good food.
it's a Hispanic couple who, like, was raised in Payson, and all their friends are white, and they blast this Hispanic music, dude. It's so funny. I'm like, dang, that's a sucky party for all the white people over there. But
No, it's not, bro. They have killer food.
I
I'm
hope
sure,
so.
dude.
I hope so. They do. They make dang good. What are those things wrapped in cornmeal?
Tamales.
Tamales for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
They're the best. So, look. So again, this is why I'm better than everybody, and I'll never be a Nazi. I don't know. You know, a high-paying guard job at a prison. It starts out as a high-paying job, you know, that's close to home, and next thing you know, you're taking bribes from prisoners. You're locking gas chamber doors. You know, it's a downward spiral that who knows if I could even stay out of. But at least I'm aware.
Just doing my job.
And
But at least I'm aware of it,
they
and I'm
tell
aware
you
of.
you're a hero to your
Yeah.
country for guarding these dangerous
Exactly.
treasonous prisoners.
These dangerous people who refuse to wear masks, they want to kill your grandma because they won't wear a mask.
And that 90% support for Hitler is a very interesting one because it wasn't overnight. He didn't show up his very first campaign speech and the entire country was like, "Oh yeah, that guy's dope." No, it started with 1% and then 2% and then things he was saying were either working.
Wait, what's after 2% though?
3%.
Oh, okay. Keep going.
I was just making sure that you got real quick with those numbers.
But the things he was saying started working, and he started spreading fear among the German people. Of course they were supporting him. They were afraid. They were afraid, and they were turning to the man who had the power, just like people have done throughout time. And so the 90% statistic, it happened over a period of time, and eventually everybody was too afraid to oppose him, or they loved the good things he was doing for their country. And they were willing to turn a blind eye to the tyrannical and
Yeah.
sociopathic things he was doing to their country.
Yeah. And I try to bring Jordan Peterson in because he is a stable mind. Even a lot of people on the left respect him. I think that Hogan respects him. I could be wrong, but anytime you bring up Nazis, you're discounted instantly. You know.
Because that could never happen again.
Yeah.
No way.
Here's the thing. People. This is what Jordan Peterson, I think, is trying to do when he brings up that statistic. Nazis aren't some fluke in nature. Nazis aren't some anomaly. Nazis are the base nature of humanity. Nazis are why the natural man is an enemy to God.
Sure.
Anytime a woman gets that tyrannical woman look on their face, they're the natural man. They're giving into the natural man. I'm sorry. And guess what? Men do it too. Men get that tyrannical woman look on their faces. And guess what? They are being the natural man. I could have caved into the natural man. And guess what? The natural man of me being the natural man is far worse than her being the natural man. She was just rude and kicked me out of a store. You know, my violent tendencies and impulses could be worse than other men's. I don't know. But I go to that violent place quick in my mind, you know.
Sure.
And thank goodness I have some impulse control nowadays, but it's not, you know, I don't like being treated like that. I don't like, and I seriously, if her look had just been a little bit different when I walked into that store, I would have put the mask on and we'd have been on our way and nothing would have happened. But I am slowly realizing that resisting wearing the mask is like cutting off the yellow Star of David. And people are like, oh, you can't even compare the two. You can't even. Yes, you can. It's the same thing. It's Germans trying to control other Germans, and it's Americans trying to control other Americans. And just because the Nazis ended in genocide doesn't mean that this will end in genocide, but it could. We should be resisting these pushes of power by the government any chance we get. And guess what? When these businesses are complying with the government on these tyrannical edicts, when businesses are supporting this cultural shift towards having to wear masks, that's fascism. When government and corporations work together to control the populace, that's fascism. So, at what, and to contrast, I went into Cal Ranch yesterday. Not even a mask on an employee, bro.
God
Not
bless
even a
that
mask
place.
on an employee. You know? So, look, Payson Market, Cal Ranch, go there. Go there.
Cal Ranch is a great store. It's the best
for
one
sure.
on the face of the earth. Just a
For
little
sure.
plug. Cal Ranch, sponsor us, please, because I love it there.
IFA's the worst.
Oh, we'll take sponsorship from IFA, too. I love it
We're going
there.
for Cal Ranch.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if IFA doesn't have any masks either. But it's look, you can give into this fear. You know, I get it. That chick was scared. She's scared. She's been hearing all this stuff. Young people are dying from this in hospitals. They're just waking up dead. They go on a ventilator for 2 weeks and then they wake up dead one day, you know? It's like, all right. But what's their underlying issue?
The numbers are like around 80% of them have comorbidities, which is normally something serious like kidney disease or cancer or something like that.
If you're that worried about just dying, I mean, you definitely shouldn't be driving, you know?
How dare you bring that up? Driving is convenient. We're not stopping doing that.
My gosh, you know? There's a limit, you know? To what we can protect ourselves from. And the more it's not like, oh, so there's that saying of anyone who trades protection for freedom deserves neither. That's not like, oh, well, there's a certain amount of protection you can get without giving up freedoms. No, that's not true. Anytime you want protection from the government, you're giving up a freedom for it. Anytime.
Let's talk about how protected you are when you give up your freedom, shall we?
Let's talk about that.
Let's move to the good old Soviet Union.
Uh-oh.
You know how we love it there. The year's 1938. Joseph Stalin is in power. He took over from Lenin, I believe, in 1924. So he's been in power for 14 years. The interesting thing...
Yeah, right. 14 years. Good job.
I do. The interesting thing about...
What's after 14?
The Gulag system that Stalin has been running now for 14 years is as he has expanded it, and Lenin had threw people in gulags as well. Stalin was just more famous for it. But the system that he had set up required prisoners to stay open. And the prisons were one of the best sources of income for the Soviet Union, the way I understand it, because it was a lot of free labor. They weren't super effective, but it was a lot of free labor. So, in order to remain open, they have to maintain this quota of people. Well, eventually it reaches a point in 1938 where Stalin begins going through records of people who had signed party ledgers before he came to power in 1924, so older party members. The reason being they were, quote unquote, still loyal to Lenin and not loyal enough to Stalin, and they were all sent to Gulag on trumped up charges.
I believe they were called Leninists at the time.
Yes, but they were sent to Gulag as political prisoners, as 58s. So I bring that up because these were men who were party believers. They were huge fans of the Communist Party. They had participated in the communist takeover and the Bolshevik and the hijacking of the Bolshevik Revolution. They were Lenin supporters and believers in communism. And I tend to think that most of them began that journey as good men. They were believers in equality for all, equality of outcome for all. So they were trying to do what was best for the Soviet Union. So anyways, if they follow Lenin to power, they give up protection, or they give up freedom in the name of protection, and then 14 years later, every single one of them is arrested and sent to a gulag in droves. I think 1938 was the beginning of one of Stalin's great purges, and 15 million people were arrested or something like that. Just crazy, absolutely crazy numbers. And these were members of the Communist Party. They were people who had willingly given up freedom in favor of protection, and they were sent off, and they died in Siberia in a Russian work camp. That's what giving up freedom in favor of protection does for you.
Yep.
It feeds you to the wolves, and you're at their mercy. You are paying the wolves to protect you at the price of no longer having any protection for yourself. No longer having any way to protect yourself.
The government's known for not doing anything very well. So why do you trust them with the one thing you can do for yourself?
Freedom is the only protection for you and your family. It is the only true protection.
100%, bro. And along those lines, so something to think about. If you're pro-mask, you're on the side of the same people who are protecting Antifa and Black Lives Matter. And if you're Hogan, I shouldn't call him out like that, I guess. If you're like Hogan, though.
Dang, bro. Hogan, we love you.
You support Black Lives Matter, right?
That's not exclusive. That's a very popular thing to support. Just saying.
Black Lives Matter is a movement, not just a saying anymore. It's become an organization, a communist organization. This is in the times of Israel. LA Jews reeling after local institutions looted and burned in Floyd protests. Synagogues, schools, and Jewish memorials vandalized with anti-Semitic, anti-Israel slogans. Jewish-owned businesses battered, particularly in Fairfax District. Graffiti on the walls of a synagogue read "Free Palestine" and "F Israel." F does not stand for Free Israel. A statue of Raoul Wallenberg, a Swedish diplomat who saved thousands of Hungarian Jews from the Nazis, was smeared with anti-Semitic slogans. Along with the synagogues, Jewish-owned buildings and stores were defaced. In several cases, also with anti-Semitic graffiti. Businesses were looted too. This city's Fairfax district, a heavily Jewish area that has been continuously represented by Jewish city councilmen since 1953, was hit particularly hard by the kind of vandalism that has struck major cities following the killing of George Floyd in police custody. The attack on our community last night was vicious and criminal, Paul Koretz, the district's current city councilman, said in a statement Sunday. As we watched fires and looting, what we didn't get covered were the anti-Semitic hate crimes and incidents. Under the guise of protest, some advanced their anti-Semitic agenda. The anti-Semitism included the above messages on Temple Bethel. Jeez, I'm doing good reading today.
Yeah, you want me to take over from here?
Shut up! And similar graffiti.
Synagogue.
And nearby Baba Sale congregation. Across the street from Bethel, the Kosher Mensch Bakery and Kitchen, the Jewish-owned clothing store, Go Couture, were destroyed. Stores on fashionable Melrose Avenue on the district's border. Anyways, you get the idea. Black Lives Matter. Do Jewish lives matter? Not to Black Lives Matter. These are the people you're supporting, mask wearers. If you support Black Lives Matter and you don't put the caveat, but not the organization, you are supporting anti-Semites. Communist, revolutionary anti-Semites. So you can say to me, I think that Black Lives Matter, but I don't support their violent and vile and anti-Semitic organization that has raised millions of dollars and not given a dime to any black communities. Then you support anti-Semites. You are complying with Nazis.
Well, and this is a pattern that is outlined very specifically in the Communist Manifesto. Any revolution happening in the world, doesn't matter what kind it is, the intention is to, the method of a communist takeover is to attach yourself to that revolution and then hijack it. We're not saying that the fight for racial inequality needs to be stopped. We're not saying that. However, Black Lives Matter, the movement, has hijacked the racial inequality movement.
You're not saying
Sure.
that. Don't speak for me, bro.
My bad. Black Lives Matter has hijacked the racial inequality movement. It is a communist takeover. It is very clear if you read their website and their manifesto, because that's what it is, a manifesto. It is very clear if you read it. It's abundantly clear that it's a Marxist organization. The intention is the overthrow of the American democracy.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that people of color don't deserve equality of opportunity. But
Absolutely.
what I am saying is the freest, most affluent blacks on the planet live in this country. They're demonstrating vast amounts of ingratitude by burning down our cities and burning down synagogues. At what and the inequality, I just don't see it. The inequality of opportunity, I don't see it. It's not there. They have every opportunity we have, and that's all there is to it. And the fact that they don't know how to not resist police, George Floyd, the videos came out, man. He was resisting. The toxicology report came out. He was on meth and what's that opioid he was on? Like worse than heroin. That slows your rate of breathing. Like the guy was bad news, and he was in trouble. And did he deserve to die? No. But did he die, and was it partially his fault? Yes. And however, do I think the cops should be held responsible? Yes. But guess what? He's going to get off because they're charging him with murder instead of something like manslaughter, which they can actually prove. But they're trying for second-degree murder, trying to put him to death, and trying to get his cohorts held responsible. He's going to get off because there's no way they can stick him with murder too. And that's what they're going for, which is second-degree murder. I guess I just said it like I was on Law and Order or something. So look, this is a rotten movement. It's a rotten movement that we've seen throughout history, and the Nazis weren't the only anti-Jewish revolution that happened. Fentanyl. Fentanyl is the drug that George Floyd was on.
Sorry.
That's all right. The communists were just as anti-Jew as Nazis. Jews ended up in gulags just like they ended up in Nazi camps. Though the difference was they weren't the complete focus of the Russian.
Russians had
Soviet,
a lot more ethnic cleansing to do.
Yeah.
Ukrainians and Serbians and
so
every other ethnicity.
This is a dangerous movement. Please be careful when you say you support Black Lives Matter, because you are supporting anti-Semitic revolutionaries if you don't put the caveat of
but not the movement.
Not the organization. I do think Black Lives Matter, which should go without saying if you're not racist, because it goes without saying to me. Of course they matter. They matter just like everyone else's lives. But if you do not put the caveat of I don't support their movement, you're supporting anti-Semitism and the destruction of the Western civilization. And maybe you think that the Western civilization needs to be destroyed. I don't know, but that's my thoughts on Black Lives Matter. You've got to put that caveat in there, or history will not smile kindly on you.
Yeah. Just like it doesn't smile kindly on the Bolsheviks.
Yeah, or the Nazis. And please do that thought experiment. Do you think you're capable of, when somebody walks into your Panda Express without a mask on, are you capable of putting that guy in a re-education camp? Are you capable of supporting that man being put in a re-education camp in order to protect your grandmother or your grandfather?
I am.
Who you love. Oh, 100%.
100%. Are you capable of irrationally blaming someone else or a group of people for your problems?
When you walk into Panda Express and some tyrannical woman tries to make you put your mask on, are you capable of putting her in a camp? Yes. Yes, I am. Now, what do I do with that information? I resist the natural man. That's exactly why we're here on this planet, to resist those natural urges that we all have. And if you don't have similar urges, if you've never had similar thoughts pop into your head, you're a liar. You're a liar. We all want to control somebody else. It's a natural urge. Do you know why we have that natural urge? Because there are people we're supposed to control. They're called kids. And we control them for 18 years, and then we turn them loose. And we treat them like adults.
Let them run amok.
Yep.
I think before we close out, or do you have more?
Nope, go ahead.
I think before we close out, I do want to update you. Have you seen the updates from the George Floyd case? The officer who's arrested, his lawyer has said George Floyd died of a drug overdose. And he was suffering from a weak heart, and he died of a drug overdose and heart failure, which is a devastating defense because he's going to win.
Oh, for sure.
George Floyd is going, or Derek Chauvin is going to get off. Do not mistake me saying that for support of him. He is a vile criminal.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And he's going to get his job back because of the unions that leftist support, the Democrats support. Oh, for sure.
In office, getting paid more.
That's the beauty of this takeover.
And
the police are protected by a communist group, by a group who has a monopoly on labor.
Mm-hmm.
The police are protected by them. If you can make the police the villain, and then suddenly take over, burn the democracy to the ground, and then re-educate the police, retrain the police, suddenly it doesn't matter what they do. They're protecting us, and we feel safer because of it. When really all they're doing is breaking down doors and arresting independent thinkers.
yeah. However, if they were charging him with manslaughter, all they'd have to prove is that he didn't get him in the hospital when he should have got him to the hospital, and he would go to jail at least for some time. So I think you can get 7 years for manslaughter in some states. But no, they're trying to.
It was
make
never
a
the
show.
intention.
It's a show trial. They're trying to show the people, oh, we're hard on these guys, instead of being honest and being like, look, it was a murder. It was manslaughter. We're gonna go for manslaughter.
It was never the intention to get Derek Chauvin locked away.
Nope. And they won't do it. And when he gets off, guess whose cities are gonna burn down? Minneapolis, Seattle, all those lefty cities. So have fun with that.
Lake.
Have fun with that, socialists. Have fun with all your cities burning down. It's not like it won't burn down. They burned one cop car.
And peed on it.
And they beat up a guy with a bow and arrow. Probably deserved to get beat up anyway. So
Because of his bow and arrow. Rude!
no, it's not because of his bow and arrow.
It's because he's holding it upside down, pointing
And
it at a
trying to
crowd.
shoot people. Make America great again.
God bless the United States, man.
Yeah, love it.
I got a meme for you, Rocky.
Oh, dope. I can't wait. So, there you have it, folks. Sorry if I offended everyone.
We're, we did good today. Anything else before we close out?
No. I no. Vote Trump. He's a good dude. Stop looking at his tweets and how unpresidential he is. Look at his policies. Because guess what? Presidential just means two-faced, teeth-talking liar. And that's not him. And I don't know where you get off calling him the pedophile when he's the only president that's not only dictated policy to
and sex trafficking.
And sex trafficking, but he's also donated, I don't know how much money it was, but he gave a lot of money to OUR recently, I think. So
something like $10 million, I think.
Was that him, or did he do it through taxes?
I'm not sure.
Was it a government grant or something? Either way, look, folks, the party of pedophilia or whatever you want to call it is the Democrat.
Is hair sniffing, rambling Joe Biden.
Well, Clinton, dude. I mean, my gosh, how are they not in jail, bro? How are they not in jail? I don't understand it.
Because, bro, he did not
everyone's-
have sexual relations with that woman.
Everyone's distracted with the COVID stuff to see, like,
So Trump
and
gave
Epstein.
$35 million in grants
him and
to
Epstein were buddies. In grants. Oh,
to OUR.
which, it's not his
just
own money,
to
but
human
still.
trafficking.
No president's done it before. And you get, like, there's pictures of Trump stirring Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And, yeah, so there's also a story of Epstein was at a Trump party, was flirting with a 16-year-old waitress at said party, and Trump kicked him out. Look it up. That's an actual story. Not to mention, then there's the whole Trump wishing Ghislaine Maxwell the best. He doesn't really know her, wishing her the best. Yeah, he's wishing her the best because her boyfriend got suicided in the same position she's in. He's hoping she doesn't get killed before he can rat on freaking Clinton. Before she can rat on Clinton. Come on, folks. Think about it. Like, holy hell. He doesn't know her. He wishes her the best because he doesn't want her to get suicided before she can tell all the deep secrets she's got.
I love the phrase "get suicided." It's amazing,
Dude.
Yeah,
amazing.
Epstein got suicided.
And all it took was one prisoner to succumb to the natural man, to work for the bad guys and kill Epstein.
I mean, he can't have been that hard. He was old
killing,
man.
and he was killing a bad guy. The guy was a bad guy, you know? It's not like he wasn't killing a freaking
That's an interesting one.
sex trafficker, you know?
Yeah, dude. You know why? You know what Epstein was, right? He was a 58.
Epstein was?
Yeah, it was. He became a trumped-up political prisoner, and that's why he was killed behind a chemical shed. That's a metaphor. He was killed in a prison cell. He was suicided, but he became a political prisoner because he could rat on powerful political people.
I don't like comparing him to 58s.
Why?
Because 58s weren't sex traffickers. They were normal people who got put into gulags.
Some of them were sex traffickers.
Some of them maybe, but
The idea.
here's
is
what I
that-
struggle with. That 11-year-old boy that got murdered behind the shed because he spoke the truth was a 58.
I know.
Alexander Solzhenitsyn, who found it critical to tell the stories of all his 58 prisoners, so he memorized of all his 58 prisoner buddies, was a 58.
I get what you're saying. I think you're getting hung up on the wrong part of that. He had become a political prisoner, and so they used the
I can live with
criminal-
political prisoner.
the
I just
criminal
don't want
element.
you to say he was a 58 because 58s are my heroes. And he was not my hero. He was a POS. And deserved to die, but we needed him alive.
The criminal element was used to control him and to control the narrative. That was the intention.
Okay, we're getting
I didn't mean
into-
to offend you with my semantics.
Yeah, well, watch it, bro. I'm easily offended.
It's time to close
I've
out.
I've never wanted to slap a tyrannical woman so bad in my life. That's
Bro,
you.
all she did was
That's
ask
you.
you.
No, that's you. You're the tyrannical woman. Look,
I hope that you have a fight with like a real person and you call them that and expect them to know that you mean the B word. They're like, okay.
I better.
weirdo.
It's better if they get confused, if you ask me. So, yeah, dude, there's a topic coming down the line. It's gonna come up, and I'm gonna look real bad, but we're gonna bring it up anyways.
Not today, though.
Not today.
So there's that plug for y'all.
Coming up, folks.
God bless you.
Yeah, sorry for the past couple weeks. Been a slow one.
We're
Oh,
back
just the
on it.
past 1 week. I guess we missed 1 week. Huh?
Just 1 week. We're back on the wagon and we're coming at you strong. So commies, watch out.
Yeah, check us out, Teespring. Link in the description this time. We're going to put that on the YouTube channel.
The link has been in the description the last couple
The
of weeks.
link's also on the Facebook page.
It's on Spotify. You can find our merch. Buy it. Fight a
Yeah,
commie
we got
today.
cool shirts, folks.
Fight commies.
Noah,
Be a 58.
Noah, we got cool shirts, bro. Stop being a cheapo.
All right. Goodbye.
God bless y'all. Have a great week.